Chapter 3. A Sister's Plea. Facing the Unknown. The dawn air was cool against Dinah's skin as she washed her face, carefully braiding her hair with trembling hands. Almost 70 days had passed since their father's death, and though grief still clung to the family like a heavy fog, another fear had begun to settle among her brothers, the fear of Joseph. The 70 days of mourning were nearly at an end, and with their father gone, unease stirred among her brothers. Old rivalries, whispered fears, uncertain futures. Now that it was nearly over, Dinah prepared to leave, not just to carry a message, but to reclaim her voice. Her father's death had taken the last shield between her and the full judgment of her brothers. She told them it was to seek peace, but the truth ran deeper. She needed to see Joseph. She had never set foot in his home, nor had she ever stood beneath the carved stone of the vizier's palace. She had played with Ephraim and Manasseh when Joseph brought them to the camp, had laughed with them in the dust, but she had never met their mother, Asenath. The name was foreign on her tongue, and though curiosity pulled at her, she knew her place. She had no standing, no inheritance. The brothers would not care for her. Reuben would not, bound as he was by his disgrace. Simeon and Levi? Never. They had spilled blood for her, but not for her sake. For their honor, their rage. Their vengeance had left her with the burden of shame, a stain upon her name from Shechem's destruction. Gad or Asher might take in their mother, Zilpah, but not Dinah. She had no claim. And so she went, carrying more than a message. She chose her best clothes, simple but well kept. She smoothed the fabric with careful hands before stepping onto the road. She would not arrive as a beggar. She set out early, the cool wind rustling through the tall reeds along the riverbank. The path to the vizier's palace was well traveled, but she felt each step like a weight upon her chest. She had never seen the home her brother had built here, nor had she seen the life he had crafted beyond their father's reach. Would he receive her? Would he even recognize her? At the gates of the vizier's palace. The vizier's palace was smaller than Pharaoh's, yet it towered over Dinah as she approached, its limestone walls gleaming gold beneath the rising sun. Unlike the rough stone homes of the Hebrews, its pillars were carved with intricate depictions of grain, of canals, of the bounty Joseph had secured for Egypt. It was not a fortress, yet it was well guarded. Dinah slowed as she reached the great bronze gates, their weight a silent testament to the power that lay within. 2 guards stood at their posts, dressed in fine linen, their spears gleaming in the morning light. She hesitated. To them, she was nothing more than another petitioner. One of the guards stepped forward, his expression impassive. "What business do you have here?" She lifted her chin, steadying her voice. "I bring a message for the vizier." The guards exchanged a glance. "The vizier is not receiving visitors today," the first one said. Dinah's fingers tightened around the folds of her cloak. Did they know? Had Joseph told them not to let his family through the gates? Had he shut them out even before she arrived? She forced her breath to steady. "I am his sister." The second guard narrowed his gaze. "The vizier has no sisters among Pharaoh's house." Her throat tightened, shame curling in her gut. Of course, to them she was nothing. She took a step forward, the boldness in her voice surprising even herself. "I am Dinah, daughter of Israel. I bring a message from my brothers." The guard hesitated, murmuring to one another. Finally, one of them disappeared beyond the gates. Dinah waited, shifting her weight, resisting the urge to turn and run. A few moments later, The guard returned. "You may enter." The gates opened, and Dinah stepped inside. Awkward introductions. The courtyard of the vizier's palace was different from what she had imagined. She had expected grand columns and endless stone, a cold place filled with the weight of power. But here, there were trees, date palms swaying gently in the morning breeze, their fruit ripening in the sun. The scent of myrrh and crushed herbs lingered in the air, mixing with the distant fragrance of fresh bread. And then a woman stepped forward. Asenath. Dinah's breath caught in her throat. She was not at all what Dinah had expected. She had imagined a woman of striking beauty, adorned in layers of gold, draped in silk, standing with the untouchable grace of an Egyptian noblewoman. But Asenath's presence was something else entirely. She was neither intimidating nor ostentatious. She was gentle. For a long moment, neither woman spoke. Dinah's eyes flickered over Asenath's form, taking in every detail, the delicate linen of her dress, finely woven but unburdened by excessive ornamentation. The golden cuff on her wrist was understated compared to what Egyptian noblewomen usually wore. She was dressed as a woman of rank, yet without arrogance. But more than her clothing, it was her bearing that unsettled Dinah. She did not hold herself as an untouchable queen, but neither was she meek. There was something about her, a quiet confidence, a presence that did not demand attention, but commanded it nonetheless. This was a woman secure in her place. And yet, she was not what Dinah had expected. Not a cold, untouchable Egyptian, not a woman who would sneer at her, as Dinah had feared, not an enemy. But Asenath, too, was studying her. The woman before her was neither an Egyptian noblewoman nor someone accustomed to courtly life. Her garments were travel-worn, the hem dusted from the road. Her sandals bore the wear of many miles. A Hebrew woman, Asenath realized, who had not arrived in a chariot or under escort, but had walked to this place of her own will. And her eyes, they were not soft. There was steel in them, as though this was not a woman who broke easily. Joseph's sister. Joseph had mentioned her only once, long ago, in passing. A sister who had suffered, a name he had not spoken again. She wondered what Joseph had withheld, and why. Was Dinah a wound left unhealed, or a story too sacred to revisit? Asenath felt a flicker of uncertainty. This woman had walked from another world, one of tents, not courts. How did you welcome someone who had never been offered a place? Then her gaze softened. "You have walked a long way," she said at last, her voice warm. "Come, let me have the servants prepare a place for you to wash and some breakfast in the garden." Dinah hesitated, but something in Asenath's face made her pause. Not pity, but recognition. She nodded, allowing herself to be led inside. Joseph's sanctuary. Asenath made her way toward Joseph's study, a quiet, secluded space hidden deep within their home, a sanctuary where he fasted, prayed, and studied in solitude. It was the only space that was indeed his, the only place where he allowed himself to be vulnerable. She knocked softly. No answer. Cautiously, she pushed the door open and stepped inside. The scent of aged papyrus, oil lamps, and faint traces of incense lingered in the air. The room was simple compared to the rest of the palace. Wooden shelves filled with scrolls lined the walls, and a single bronze brazier smoldered in the corner. Joseph had fallen asleep at his desk, his head nesting on folded arms, his body slumped forward. His posture was not that of an Egyptian vizier, but of a weary man carrying the weight of too much loss. Asenath knelt beside him and gently touched his face. His eyes fluttered open at her caress, blinking in confusion before focusing on her. "Your sister is here," she whispered. Joseph sat up suddenly, rubbing his eyes. "Dinah?" His voice was hoarse with sleep. "Why has she come? Is everything all right?" "I don't know," Asenath admitted. "She only said she has a message from your brothers. I sent her to wash up and eat. She is waiting for you in the garden." Joseph took a slow breath, steadying himself. He had not seen his sister in years. He barely knew the woman she had become. Why had she come now? With a nod, he rose, brushing a hand over his face as if wiping away the last remnants of sleep. "I will go to her." Difficult conversations. Dinah had never seen such a luxurious home before. The palace of Shechem had been fine, but this was something else entirely. The polished limestone walls, the intricate carvings of grain and rivers, the scent of blooming lotus drifting through the air. It was all overwhelming. Servants moved swiftly, their eyes briefly lingering on her before looking away. Pity. Dinah was tired of that look. She was tired of people treating her as if she were broken. She followed the servant through an open archway leading to a lush courtyard. The garden was breathtaking. Vines wrapped around columns, fruit trees cast soft shade, and a shallow pool reflected the morning light. A low table was set with an array of food, fresh bread drizzled with honey, plump figs, roasted almonds, and a warm cup of goat's milk. She hesitated. It had been a long time since she had eaten a meal prepared in this manner, before Shechem, before she had become an object of disgrace. Her fingers trembled as she picked up a piece of bread, the honey melting against her tongue. She closed her eyes, savoring the warmth of the milk as it slid down her throat. For a brief moment, she let herself feel safe, cherished. Footsteps approached, quiet on the stone. Joseph saw her before she saw him, and stopped. He froze, taking her in as if unsure she was real. Then softly, almost like a prayer, "Dinah." When she opened her eyes, Joseph stood before her. She jumped up in shock, nearly knocking over the cup of milk. Then, quickly, she bowed to him, lowering herself in reverence. Joseph reached out, gently taking hold of her arms. "Do not bow," he said, his voice soft. "Right now, I am your brother, not the vizier." Dinah swallowed, slowly lifting her gaze to meet his. "You look so much like your mother," Joseph murmured, studying her face. She blinked, startled. It had been so long since she heard anyone speak of Leah with familiarity. They sat down, but for a long moment neither spoke. Joseph studied her as if seeing her for the first time, not as a child, not as a sister left behind, but as a woman who had endured pain and survived it. She was 6 years older than he, placing her close to 60 now. Yet, somehow, Elohim had preserved her youthfulness. There was a quiet strength in her eyes, a resilience that had not faded with time. And Dinah studied him in return. She had only known him through the stories their brothers told, the lost son, the ruler of Egypt, the powerful one. But now, sitting before her, he was something else. He was real. He was flesh and blood. He was her brother. She remembered the few times he had come to visit their father. Each time, she had been hidden away, sent off before he arrived. Perhaps to protect her, or possibly because no one had thought to include her. It was possible that, even the night of Israel's passing, he had mistaken her for one of the servants. A faint, sad smile touched her lips. "I know my mother did not care for you," she said softly. "She was often unkind. I do not carry her bitterness, Joseph." Joseph tensed. He had known it, of course, but hearing it aloud brought back memories. Memories of a mother who had never hidden her resentment toward him. Dinah continued, her voice reminiscent. Rachel cherished you like a king. She was never reserved with her love, especially towards me. Often, she would let me hold you so she could look on with great joy. Joseph inhaled sharply, gripping the edge of his chair. The mention of his mother stirred something raw within him. He had been ripped from that love, from that safety. His fingers curled into his palms, but he did not look at her. "You have a message for me?" he said finally. Dinah hesitated, then recounted what had happened that night at the fire, the argument, the fear, the plea for mercy. Joseph stood suddenly, turning his back to her. His shoulders were tense, his breath uneven. "Is that," his voice broke, "is that what they think of me?" He squeezed his eyes shut. The betrayal he had long since forgiven still lingered in the air between them. Was it still not over? Was this all that remained of his father? Suspicion? Fear? A legacy clouded by distrust? He swallowed hard, wiping the tears from his eyes before turning back to her. His voice was steadier now. "Do you remember my dreams, Dinah? The sun, moon, and stars, the sheaves of wheat bowing before me." Dinah nodded. "Elohim knew then what he had destined for me," Joseph whispered. "My brothers only did what was orchestrated before time began." A long silence settled between them. Then, in a hushed voice, Joseph called for a servant. A brief exchange of words, and the man hurried away. Joseph turned back to Dinah, his expression unreadable. "So, tell me, sister," he asked, his voice now softer, "why did you volunteer to bring this message to me?" Dinah's heart pounded. This was her chance. She needed his blessing. A new beginning for Dinah. Dinah sat across from Joseph, her fingers tracing the rim of a clay cup absently. The warmth of the sun danced across her face, but her eyes held only sorrow. Slowly her voice softened as she recounted the years after the family believed Joseph to be dead. Her words grew heavier as she spoke of Shechem. Her breath hitched, and her speech slowed, laboring over the memory. Joseph did not flinch. He remained still, listening, taking in every word. But deep within him, anger stirred, a righteous, silent fury. After a long pause, Dinah exhaled. "I do not know where I belong now," she murmured. "Father is gone, and my brothers, they have never truly wanted me." Joseph sighed, folding his hands in front of him. "You belong here, Dinah, in my household, under my protection." A tired smile touched her lips. "I am not a child for you to keep safe, little brother." "You are my sister," Joseph countered firmly. "And family is not cast away, not in my house." Silence stretched between them, thick with years of unspoken wounds. Then Dinah spoke again, softer this time. "When we first came to Egypt, I was the one Father sent to the market to buy goods and materials," she said. Her fingers tightened around the cup. "A few years ago, in the market square, I met a humble man." A small smile eased onto her face, as though just thinking of him brought comfort. "A tailor in Pharaoh's court. His wife passed a few winters ago, leaving me with 2 small children. He has been kind to me. I enjoy his company, and never once have I felt second-hand." Joseph studied her carefully. "And you wish to marry him?" Dinah hesitated, then nodded. "I do." A shadow crossed her face. "I tried to mention it to Reuben, but he would not hear of it.
His defiled sister marrying an Egyptian. He said it would bring disgrace upon our father's name. I never wanted that. And now, even though father is gone, I know they will cast me aside. I could not marry without a blessing from my family."
She braced herself, expecting to see disappointment in Joseph's eyes, the same judgment, the same shame. Joseph exhaled, the weight of it leaving his shoulders slowly. Then a gentle, unburdened smile broke through his grief. "Then I will see it done," he said. "You will have a home, Dinah, a family, and his children will know they are loved." He paused, his smile widening. "Of course, Ephraim and Manasseh will want to see more of you." Dinah let out a laugh, bright and full, ringing through the garden like the first break of dawn after a long night. At the sound, Asenath emerged from the house, her eyes alight with curiosity. "What is this laughter I hear?" Joseph grinned. "There will be a wedding," he declared. "We will have it here, in the garden, something small, something ours." Asenath gasped with delight, immediately sitting beside Dinah. "Oh, tell me everything," she urged, clasping Dinah's hands. The two women fell into easy conversation, giggling like girls as they whispered about the details of the celebration. Joseph, seeing that they no longer needed him, quietly excused himself. He stepped away from the table and made his way toward the waiting chariot at the entrance. A matter to be settled. As he approached, a guard bowed. "Has it been done?" Joseph asked.
"Yes, my lord," the guard replied. "Your brothers are waiting for you at your father's house."
Joseph nodded once, then stepped inside the carriage, his heart turned serious once more. This could not be handled in the palace, not where the walls had ears. This had to be settled once and for all. His brothers, after all these years, after all he had done for them, did they still believe he was waiting to take revenge? That he had only spared them so he could enslave them in time? No, that uncertainty had to be crushed. The carriage wheels rumbled against the stone road, carrying him towards his father's house. The gathering of the brothers. Asher, Dan, Naphtali had come first. Zilpah moved through the room, her hand steady as she poured tea, though her presence was as silent as ever. One by one, the others arrived. Reuben was last. "Has anyone seen Dinah?" Reuben demanded as soon as he entered. "Do we even know what has happened?" His gaze landed sharply on Zilpah. "What exactly did the messenger say?" Gad rose, ready to challenge Reuben. "Speak to my mother with respect," he said coldly. Asher, standing beside him, placed a firm hand on his shoulder, a silent warning to let it go. Zilpah, unshaken, continued pouring. "The messenger from the palace said that Joseph requests all of you to be present this afternoon, as he will come to speak with you." She finished filling the last cup, then placed the pot down and left the room. A whisper passed between Asher and Gad. "I have already spoken to my wife," Gad murmured. "Mother will come to stay with us." Asher gave a slow, silent nod. No one spoke after that. They only waited. The weight of uncertainty settled in the air, thick and unmoving. Then the sound of chariot wheels approaching echoed beyond the walls. The moment had come. The curtain at the entrance parted. Joseph stepped inside. He had carried Egypt through famine, earned Pharaoh's trust, and sat beside kings. Yet here, among his own blood, he still had to prove his heart. He scanned the room, his eyes moving from face to face. Not men, not brothers. No. What he saw were the faces of boys. Boys who had once cast him into a pit. Boys who had betrayed him. But also boys whom Elohim had used to save them all. Joseph exhaled. Steadying himself, he was humbled. 17 years. That was how long he had lived with them in peace. How long he had shown kindness, provided for their families, and asked for nothing in return. And still, they feared him. Taking a seat, he folded his hands before him, inhaled deeply, and said, Dinah has filled me in on all that happened the night of our father's passing, and the message she was asked to deliver to me. The brothers stiffened. The truth was about to be revealed.
You've been listening to the Moses Chronicles Prelude, narrated by M. McIntosh. To explore the full audiobook, purchase it in digital or printed form, or discover companion writings, visit moseschronicles.com. For more sacred fiction, subscribe and journey with us through promises, exile, and deliverance. New chapters are released weekly. Until then, may the quiet still speak.